Welcome to the Poetry Lovers channel. Series 2 is dedicated to music lyrics. What techniques does the songwriter use to influence the listener? What makes the lyrics work? I'm going to look at two songs that are very different from what we saw in the first two episodes. The first is Woodstock, released as a single in 1970. The lyric is inspired by the 1969 Woodstock Festival of Music and Art. And the amazing thing is, Joni didn't go, she was in a hotel room in New York. And arguably, she captured the peace and love culture of that time better than anybody else. And not only that, she gave it something that no one else brought to the music. Let's take a look. I came upon a child of God, he was walking along the road, and I asked him, "Where are you going?" And this he told me. The first verse begins softly and slowly like a Bible song. For Joni, this isn't a jolly. This is like some kind of spiritual experience. There's a simplicity and innocence to it that captures the feeling of the time. And more importantly for the song, it has a hypnotic rhythm. It's an alternating rhythm. The line, "I came upon a child of God," ends fairly abruptly. Then the next line ends with a long vowel. He was walking along the road. Again, a line with a fairly abrupt end. And I asked him, "Where are you going?" Followed by a line ending with a long vowel. And this he told me. And these four lines set us up for the rest of the song. They have an intriguing rhythm that draws us in. And we want to know the answer to the question, where are you going? One interpretation beyond the literal one is that the songwriter is asking us, where are you going? And we have, I'm going on down to Yazka's farm, I'm going to join in a rock and roll band, I'm going to camp out on the land, I'm going to try and get my soul free. So we get a real sense of optimism and freedom as people are walking to the festival. And then the chorus. We are stardust, we are golden, and we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Even when Joni's lyrics seem fanciful, they always contain a nugget of truth. We now know human beings are made of stars. When a supernova explodes, it produces elements that then later on become parts of our body. And we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Joni is saying humanity should live in harmony with nature again, like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And the second verse, then can I walk beside you? I've come here to lose the smog, and I feel to be a cog in something turning. Or maybe it's just the time of year, or maybe it's the time of man. I don't know who I am, but you know life is for learning. So in this verse, Joni is implying that people are sick of being a cog in a machine, and they want to learn something, they want to go beyond themselves, perhaps in a spiritual way. And the third verse, by the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong, and everywhere there was song and celebration. And I dreamed I saw the bombers riding shotgun in the sky, and they were turning into butterflies above our nation. For me, these last four lines are the strongest. Who else but Joni Mitchell could come up with a line where bombers are turning into butterflies and also make it sound like an anthem? And then we've got the outro. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, caught in the devil's bargain. And we got to get ourselves back to the garden. One thing that's less obvious about Joni's lyrics that I think is there, and particularly in the way that she sings it, is kind of a lament for the planet. She sings the song with this kind of ululation, it's like a Native American song, like a lament for the dead. And I think that's something that she intuited, she picked up on, and she's added to the song. And I think it's just a whole another spiritual layer that you just do not get in most music. It's incredible. A characteristic of many of Joni's songs is that they can be interpreted in a melancholy and a happy way at the same time, something that's quite rare. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young's version was more of a rockin' celebratory style, but that worked just as well. Matthew's Southern Comfort's version was closer to the mood of Joni's version. It was a little more mellow and less melancholic, but it was still a successful interpretation. But what a song, a celebration, a summary of a whole movement, a call to live in harmony with nature, and a lament for the planet, all in one song. Now what's the next lyric going to be? This time I'll choose something a little later in Joni's career, and something a bit jazzier. Edith and the Kingpin, a track on the Hissing of Sutton Lawns album of 1975. This one reads like the first chapter of a novella. I'll read the whole thing out so that we can get a sense of the story. The big man arrives, disco dancers greet him, plainclothes cops greet him, small town, big man, fresh lipstick glistening. Sophomore jive from victims of typewriters. The band sounds like typewriters. The big man, he's not listening. His eyes hold Edith, his left hand holds his right. What does that hand desire that he grips it so tight? Edith in the ring, the passed over girls are conferring. The man with the diamond ring is purring, all claws for now withdrawn. One by one they bring his renegade stories to her, his crimes and his glories to her. In challenge they look on. Women he has taken grow old too soon. He tilts their tired faces gently to the spoon. Edith in his bed, a plane in the rain is humming. The wires in the walls are humming. Some song, some mysterious song. Bars in her head, beating frantic and snowblind, romantic and snowblind. She says his crime belongs. Edith and the Kingpin, each with charm to sway, are staring eye to eye. They dare not look away. You know they dare not look away. So from the beginning, the big man arrives, disco dancers greet him, plainclothes cops greet him, small town, big man, fresh lipstick glistening. The first three lines are more staccato than the previous songs we looked at. They come in bursts like jazz music. Someone important has arrived. Sophomore jive from victims of typewriters. The band sounds like typewriters. The big man, he's not listening. So the lines about the band sounding like typewriters sound a little incongruous, which allows the next line, the big man, he's not listening, to have greater impact. The word listening seems to peel off into the distance. Notice how sophomore jive rhymes with the big man arrives at the beginning of the verse, as does listening and lipstick glistening. But the rhythm of the verse is so staccato, it almost conceals the rhythm. His eyes hold Edith, his left hand holds his right. What does that hand desire that he grips it so tight? This is a great setup. We wonder what desire the Kingpin has. And there's a tight rhythm, like a couple dancing. Edith in the ring, the passed over girls are conferring. The man with the diamond ring is purring. All claws for now withdrawn. One by one they bring his renegade stories to her, his crimes and his glories to her. In challenge they look on. So here Edith hears stories from the passed over girls. The Kingpin is starting to sound sleazy, and the passed over girls seem in competition for his attention. Women he has taken grow old too soon. He tilts their tired faces gently to the spoon. So in 2 lines, Joni creates a whole scene, and we now think the Kingpin is either a drug dealer or a pimp. He gets his girls hooked on heroin. He tilts their tired faces gently to the spoon. So for me, those lines are as good as anything you're going to hear from the 20th century. Incredible. Okay, and now verse 3. Edith in his bed, a plane in the rain is humming, the wires in the walls are humming. Some song, some mysterious song. Bars in her head, beating frantic and snowblind, romantic and snowblind. So the third verse illustrates something we see in some of Joni's other songs. She'll take a mundane refrain from a well-known song and transform it into something magical. In her song The River, Joni takes the cheerful refrain of Jingle Bells and transposes it into a mournful cry from a piano. With Edith and the Kingpin, I believe she may have had the line, "The rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain," going through her head, and she transformed it into Edith in his bed, a plane in the rain is humming, the wires in the walls are humming, some song, some mysterious song. She says his crime belongs. The last line is a little ambiguous. I think it's Edith admitting she knows the Kingpin is a rogue, but it hasn't put her off because she's in his bed. Edith and the Kingpin, each with charm to sway, are staring eye to eye. They dare not look away. You know they dare not look away. So the lyric ends with Edith and the Kingpin, eye to eye, inexorably drawn to each other. An intriguing story and almost a lyrical dance. Well, that's it for this week. Let me know in the comments if there's any other lyricists you'd like me to cover. It doesn't matter what genre, as long as it has some meaning for you and they're good lyrics. And see you next time.